William Lynch, The Untold Story, 1712. This speech was delivered by a white slave owner, William Lynch, on the bank of the James River in December 25th, 1712. Gentlemen, I greet you on the banks of the James River in the year of our Lord 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
As our boat sailed south of the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its old highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and rope on occasion. I caught whiff of a dead slave hanging from a tree a couple of miles back. You are not only losing valuable stocks by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. However, I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them.
And God spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land, and that they should bring them into bondage, and entreat them evil 400 years. And the nation to whom they shall be in bondage will I judge, said God. And after that shall come they forth and serve me in this place. And he gave him the covenant of circumcision. And Abraham begot Isaac, and circumcised him the 8th day. And Isaac begot Jacob, and Jacob begot the 12 patriarchs.
In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if it is installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control purposes. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple list of differences and think about them. On the top of my list is age, but it is there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, size plantations, status on plantation, attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on the hill, east, west, north, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male versus against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks, but it is necessary your slaves trust and depend on us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are the keys to control. Use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensively for 1 year, the slaves themselves will remain perpetually distrustful. Thank you, gentlemen. Let us make a slave. First of all, we need a black nigger man, a pregnant nigger woman, and her baby nigger boy. Second, I will use the same basic principle that we use in the breaking of a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors. Cardinal principles for making a Negro. For fear that our future generations may not understand the principle of breaking both horse and man, we lay down the art for if we are to sustain our basic economy, we must break and tie both of the beasts together, the nigger and the horse. Let's make a slave. Both horse and nigger are no good to the economy in the wild or natural state. Both must be broken and tied together for orderly production. For the orderly futures, special and particular attention must be paid to the female and young offspring. Both must be crossbred to produce a variety and division of labor. Both must be taught to respond to a particular new language. Psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or natural nigger is dangerous, even if captured, for they will have a tendency to seek their customary freedom, and in doing so might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. They sleep while you are awake and are awake while you are asleep. They are dangerous near the family house, and it requires too much labor to watch them away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in the natural state. Hence, both the horse and the nigger must be broken. That is, break them from one form of mental life to another. Keep the body and take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist. A brief discourse in offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking, but concentrate on future generations. Therefore, if you break the female mother, she will break the offspring in its early years of development. And when the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you, for her normal female protective tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. For example, take the case of the wild stud horse, a female horse and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process with two nigger males in their natural state. A A pregnant nigger woman with her infant offspring, take the stud horse, break him for limited containment.
Completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, whereas you or anybody can ride her in comfort.
Bred the mare and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Train the female horse, whereby she will eat out of your hand, and she will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand as also. When it comes to break the uncivilized nigger, use the same process, but vary in degree, and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the mind.
Take the meanest and most restless nigger, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, the female niggers, the female, the nigger infant, tar and feather him. They're going to tie each leg to a different horse in opposite directions. Set him fire and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining niggers.
The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger male to the point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female nigger. We have reversed relationships. In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency towards her independent male offspring, and would raise the female offspring to be dependent like her. Nature has provided time with this balance. We reverse nature by burning and pulling one civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reverse roles. For the fear of the young man's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offspring to be psychologically independent. What have you got? Now we can sleep soundly, for out of frozen fear, his woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her infant slave process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. By the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for life's sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of a good labor force. The Negro marriage unit. We breed two nigger males with two nigger females. Then we take the nigger males from them, keeping them moving and working. Say the one nigger female bear a nigger female and the other bear a nigger male, both nigger females, being without the influence of the nigger image, frozen with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse position. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her, and negotiate at her will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. When these offspring become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and do all his commandments and statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them, and flee 7 ways before them, and shalt be removed in all the kingdoms of the earth. Thou shalt be betrothed with wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 36. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, and there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. Verse 37. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee.
Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 46. And they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. Verse 47. Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. Verse 49. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Verse 50. A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor shew favor to the young.
Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 66. And thy life shall hang in doubt before thee, and thou shalt fear day and night, and shalt have none assurance in thy life.